begins the long and perilous journey to the Rio. Well, there it is. Hello, welcome to the my first weekly recap vlog thing from Vegas. I'm just gonna kind of talk over what I've been playing this week, how it's been going, how I'm feeling. I think you can probably already tell that I'm a bit withered just from playing a week of tournament poker. Like, I've only played 8 this week and I'm already like, here we go again. So on the first day, I went straight to the Rio, I sorted out all the vaccine stuff, I had to wait in loads of queues, and then I was going to enter straight into the 1K COVID relief tournament, but then I realised I could make an $800 tournament at the Venetian if I was quick, so I went straight there. I'm here at the Venetian, if you can kind of see the cool looking stuff in the background. Just got my first entry of the year. I'm about to play my first tournament, it's $800. I had to rush here from the Rio because late rate was about to close. I entered literally with a minute to spare. I'm going to get in with about 22 big blinds, and if I bust this, I'll be going back to the Rio to play the 1K at the World Series. And then I busted in one hand. After the Venetian, I came back to the Rio. I got straight in the queue to Reg. You have to queue up the first time, even if you're going to use like their fast track machines, because you have to give them cash to put on your account, and there's nowhere else to queue up and put it on. I waited in this queue for 3 hours and 20 minutes, and 10 minutes before I got to the front, they closed late registration in the 1K, so I didn't get to play that day, which is pretty tilting to wait for that long and not even get to play. Day 2, I went to play the $500 reunion, and I made day 2 of that. It was actually a really fun tournament.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Nice.
Another hand, I raised under the gun off like 23 bigs. This is pretty late already in the money with ace king. One guy goes all in for 12 bigs, so I'm like, obviously I'm always calling with ace king. And then another guy rejams for my like 23 bigs. So it's a pretty tough spot when you open under the gun and someone jams middle position, someone else jams like late position. And as the big blind folds and it's back to me, the guy that rejammed then turns his hand over and he has aces. So I just fold my ace king and see that I also would have lost, which was nice. So that kept me in the tournament, even though maybe I'd fold anyway, but it's a really tough spot. I'm glad I didn't have to really think about. I got to go into the GG Poker Players Lounge, which was pretty cool. It's like this private area where if you're like a certain rate back level on GG, you get to use it, and you get like some free drinks, free food, free coffee, and it's somewhere you can just chill out and charge your phone on the breaks, which is pretty nice. After I made day 2 of the reunion, I had 2 free days because there was 2 more flights, so I went and played the daily 1Ks at the Win 2 days in a row.
Your black chips out.
They're really good fields, it's a lot of fun. One day you can win like 70k as well.
Yeah, spade.
I had one really nice spot where I flatten open with aces because there's a 4 big blind jam stack. He jams and then the guy rejams with like queen 10, so I get to bust 2 people. Some guy was just an absolute spoon, decided to jam ace 5 off versus my under the gun open and beat my 10s. It's not that bad of a beat, like he's got his 30% or whatever it is, but it's just annoying because it's not something you should do. Get it all in with kings against my aces and win, whatever, I do the same thing. But you do some dumb like free bet jam, or you do like some really weird play and then you get there in a really weird way. It's like that little bit more annoying. Day 5, I went to play, I played my day 2 from the 500 reunion, and the table was so good. It was just recreational players, like every single player at the table, which is the dream. It was actually that good. I went all in for 10 big blinds, and the guy nearly folded ace queen. He was so close to folding.
10-9 suited, ace queen. I need a 10. Another 10. Hey, nice hand.
He had less chips than me as well. He had like 9 big blinds, and he was like, fuck it type thing. When you're in the last 5% of the field, like people just play so tight. It's amazing. And then I got left with 1 big blind, so I was going to be put into the big blind ante next hand, and I thought that the big blind ante was put in first. So I had 65k at 60k big blind ante. So I thought I have to go all in under the gun, because then I'm entitled to win the small blind, the big blind, and the big blind ante, so it's worth so much. Whereas if I fold under the gun, most of my stack goes into the ante, and then I can only win my 5k back. So I thought I have to go all in with any 2 under the gun. So I went all in blind, and then I later found out that the big blind is taken first in World Series events. So I actually should have folded a few hands, and I got dealt 7-2 off, so it was one of the few hands I could have probably folded. But yeah, I had 1 big blind. Well,
I'm all in. I haven't looked at my hand yet. You have something good?
I need to see both of you.
Can we, all right, I need a 4, I guess. Ah, I got outs. I got outs. That's not one. Hey,
then I went to play the $600 World Series event, which is honestly one of the best events I've ever played. It was incredible. Everyone was having so much fun as well. One guy at my table, he limps and then calls my raise, and then the flop comes 6-5-4, 2 diamonds and a heart. I have kings. He doesn't look at my stack and he just bets like 4 times the pot. Oh, okay, I guess I called all in, expected him to have a draw or like something decent. He just has like 10-9 of hearts for 10 high, backdoor flush draw. Oh, and this same guy that had the 10-9 of hearts, I had one hand where we're 5-way to the turn, which is pretty sick. Like I think I bet the flop and we went 5-way to the turn on 5-3-2 rainbow, and then the turns are 6 and I have jack 4 off. Like I just checked the big blind pre. I've got the second nut, so I'm gonna lose to 7-4. It checks to him, and he bets 25k into 20k. It falls back to me, I call, thinking like he's like super polar, but this guy's crazy, he probably has some bluffs. And the river's a 4, so now like I just play the board, and I only had like 12k left, so I was never gonna fold either way. And he checks back, and he just has ace-2. That was pretty sick. And then my actual bust out hand was really close to the money against the same guy. I had ace-queen of diamonds on jack 10-4, 2 diamonds, and he had 9-8 of diamonds, so he had like a worse draw. Although it's not like he's got like a decent amount of equity, it's not that bad. It's just pretty annoying that it was for like a ridiculously big pot close to the bowl. Then on day 6, I went to play the 1k bounty.
The chip is not an all-in chip and should never be used to bet or indicate your action.
card. It looked at one card.
Yeah, I looked at the king. I looked at one card.
Wait. I take,
Was that
I take a
sevens?
13 coming first, the main pot, okay?
You look one?
I take a 13.
No. I've got premium.
Wait. I take a 13. So this is side pot, okay?
What do I need to be?
Oh.
Pair of jacks. Wow. Oh no, that's a horrible spot. I need more than one card.
I am so confident I'm winning actually.
That's
Always coming 7, yeah?
Yeah, flop, and on the flop too. Ooh.
there's 110. Have I got diamonds?
Shit,
Backdoor
ace no good
diamonds?
for me.
7, 8,
Ace.
Just an ace or a 10?
Ace.
7.
Hey, nice hand.
And then I went to play the Venetian, and the alternate list was so big I didn't get in until like 2 levels after late reg closed. I think I just lost the flip or something. I don't remember what happened in that one, to be honest. And then on day 7, I played the 3000 World Series of Poker event. 3K is like kind of big. You'd expect the field to be a lot tougher. But honestly, the field was still incredible. It was still like a super valuable tournament all the way. I did obviously play with more good players, but the ratio of good to okay and like good to bad players was just insane for the buy-in level.
Queen versus queen.
Oh, that's DP time. Okay.
So all in all, after playing for a week, I've played 8 tournaments. I haven't re-entered the tournament yet, which feels like a win to me, even though I've only had 1 cash. And I'm down like just over $7,000, so yeah, could be worse. More importantly, I've played really good. I think there's 2 hands I wasn't so sure about, but I've played a lot of poker this week. I'm very happy with how I'm playing. I'm very happy with the fields. I'm very happy with like everything that's going on right now. I've even got the merch. I'm going to talk about some interesting hands I played this week. This first one is from a 1-day 1K at the Win. I have 9-8 of diamonds, 80 big blinds deep from under the gun +1. The blinds are 600, 1200, 1200. I raised to 2500. The cutoff is a new player. I don't necessarily know that well. He seems like he probably is a reg. He free bets to 7,500. And it folds back to me. He's like 35 to 40 big blinds deep, so it's kind of close pre-flop. If you think they're capable of free betting light, then it's probably one you can't fold at this depth, like folding it at less than 30 bigs and deciding 30 to 40, calling always if you're more than 40 bigs deep. I got some slight live tells that he was weaker. Nothing definitive, but I just had a slight impression that he was on the weaker side, so I call. That makes the pot 17,500. The flop is Jack of Hearts, 9 of Spades, 6 of Spades. I check, he bets 6.5k, I call. Pretty standard so far, check call second pair. I still beat like Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace 10, King Queen, Queen 10, like all this stuff. So I call, that makes the pot 30,500. The turn is the 7 of Spades. This is kind of the interesting spot. So now it's Jack of Hearts, 9 of Spades, 6 of Spades, 7 of Spades. So I've got second pair and an open ender, and there's the flush draw gets there. So generally, like if you notice that a card or a board comes out where you expect your opponent to check more often, then this is the times you should sort of think about leading with at least some parts of your range. We assume he's c-betting his whole range. I don't continue with my whole range against the c-bet, so I have more flushes in my distribution of hands, and I have more top pairs now. He's probably going to want to pot control check that with top pair, with like pocket tens, with some over pairs, that sort of stuff, or like he doesn't want to barrel with a lot of his bluffs, so that's a good indicator that it's a good card to lead. But is my hand a good hand to lead? Well, if I check and he bets big, it's pretty annoying for me. I don't really want to check call out of position to a big bet, and he can. So I decided to lead for 4,000, like 13% pot or so, because I think when you lead for these small sizes, like I still stay uncapped. I can still have like loads of really strong hands, like better than overpairs, and people aren't really used to it. Like, of course I can do this with like a nut flush and loads of other stuff. So I lead for 4k, and then he asks for how much I've got. It doesn't take very long and calls, so I get loads of indicators that he's just not that strong. So I think he's got like pocket tens, maybe sometimes a hand like Queen 9, King 9, or a Jack. Maybe some, like I think if he had Ace of Spades King or Ace of Spades Queen, he would at least think about bluff jamming the turn. Or like, it just seemed like he was in always call mode, and as soon as he's in always call mode, I just don't think he's ever that strong. And now the river's an ace, which isn't the best card. If he called the turn with Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace 10 with no spade, he now rivers a hand that might feel obligated to call. But if he ever has Kings, Queens, Queen Jack, Jack 10, King Jack, pocket tens, Queen 9, King 9, I think they're all going to fold. And just because I had that impression he was weaker, I decided to go with the jam for 25k on the river. It also stops him from bluffing if he's ever got like, I don't know, King Queen 1 spade, or like Queen 10, or like whatever he's got, because my plan is to always check fold. I might be folding the best hand. I block his like Ace 9, which I guess is nice. But yeah, I wasn't entirely sure what to do on this river. I thought, based on like the slight live reads I had, I thought bluff jam was good, and he folded. So that one went well. I still, like, for all I know, he folded a worse hand, but like I think that was the right play in the moment. But it was a bit of a weird hand. Next interesting hand, a reg who's pretty aggressive, opens from under the gun +1. The big blind is not there, so the big blind's just dead. He's going to open insanely wide here because I already know he's an aggressive reg. Middle position, tight fish sort of player calls. I'm on the button with 8-6 of spades. The small blind is very passive. I think I can get away with a call here because we're pretty deep. I'm like 90 big blinds deep. Maybe it's a little loose, but I just thought in position, the small blind mainly folds, doesn't really ever squeeze as a bluff. Big blind's not there. I thought it was a nice spot to call. Again, could be wrong, but it felt like roughly around the bottom, like maybe 7-5 suited, 6-4 suited. 6-4 suited feels probably too wide. 7-5 really close. 8-6 I thought it was a good call. Could be wrong. So we go three-way to the flop, which makes the pot 5,700. It comes King, Queen, 8, Queen of Spades, King of Diamonds, 8 of Diamonds. It checks to me. I decided to bet 2,400. I think it's a nice spot to bet with this hand. I've got a backdoor flush draw. I might have the best hand. I can get called by worse. I can get called by Ace Jack, Ace 10, Jack 10, maybe even like Ace 6 backdoor flush draw. And I can make them fold pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket jacks. So because we're free weight, I think people will just fold those hands. I can also bluff this hand down the street, so I can turn 2 pair or trips and have a nice disguised value bet. So I think it is a good spot to bet the flop. The guy that opened, the pre-flop raiser, so I made it 2,400. He raises to 8,800, and the other guy folds. So this is kind of an annoying spot, but I think he's aggressive and capable. I think he is going to check raise with something like ace jack, ace 10, especially with a diamond in his hand. I think he's going to check raise jack 10. I think he's going to, I block his pocket eights, his king 8. Yeah, he can have aces, ace king. Ace king is already like, people don't always check raise though, they mainly like bet or check call, I would say, freeway. But it's possible. Like king queen is always in there, yeah, sure. But I've got a backdoor flush draw. Decide to just call once because he's aggressive. I'm in position, see what happens. The turn is the king of spades, probably the best card in the deck. It blocks his pocket kings, his king queen, his king 8 even further. It means his like queen 8 suited doesn't want to go for value anymore. And it gives me a flush draw. So it's literally like one of the best cards in the deck. He bets 5,500 into 23.5k, like really small. I have an easy call. I don't see the point in bluffing at this point. I'm way ahead or way behind. And I've got loads of outs if I'm behind. I just don't think he's calling worse. I don't think he's really folding better. It just doesn't really make sense to jam. So I call. This makes the pot 34,300. And then the rivers are free of diamonds, so unfortunately all of his flush draws, like if you just check raise the flop with like 9, 10 of diamonds or something, wouldn't now get there. But I have loads of flushes as well when I take this line, so I just have an easy fold to aggression at this point. And if he has like jack 10 with a diamond, ace jack or ace 10 with a diamond and bluffs me, so be it. He checks, I check back now because I don't need to bluff, I can just win. And he has ace 10 offsuit, no diamond, so pretty aggressive check raise on the flop, and I'm glad I picked off that bluff and held, so that was a nice pot to win. One more interesting hand for this week. This one is from the $3,000 World Series of Poker event. So I raise with pocket nines, I'm 125 big blinds deep to 1800. A reg calls on the button, playing 20 big blinds. The small blind recreational player calls. Now the big blind reg makes it 9,000, and we're really deep. I think he covers me and I'm 125 bigs deep. So I'm just always calling here with nines, probably calling no matter what really versus a reg squeeze. But he seemed like he might have been on the tighter side, but like nines are still way too strong and we're too deep anyway. So I call, the others fold. So this makes the pot 22.4k. The flop is ace, queen, brick, rainbow. He checks pretty quickly. And now when people check quickly on this board as the squeezer, you got to rule out most of their bluffs, and you've got to think they've probably got middling showdown most of the time, because unless they're trapping, like he might just quickly check aces sometimes, or ace queen, but it's probably like pocket kings or ace x most of the time. So I just don't think I'm going to get bluffs through. Maybe sometimes he's got jacks, but I might be able to bluff him later on anyway, so just check for now. Turns a jack. So now I lose the jacks, but there's still a chance he's got tens and I might make that fold, or like kings, I might be able to make that fold, king, queen, ace x, he checks again. But I just don't think that I need to bet twice. And when you need to bet twice with a bluff and you've only got 2 outs to improve, it's probably not the best spot to bluff. Like if I've got 10-9 suited, or if I've got a flush draw, like sure, I'll start blasting. But when I've got nines, I just don't think I want to start bluffing yet. And I could still play check with like some ace x and bet the river, so it's not like it's impossible for me to have a good hand if I bluff the river. So I check back. The river's the 7 of diamonds, completing the backdoor flush draw. I have the 9 of diamonds in my hand. So ace queen x rainbow, turn jack of diamonds, starts flush draw, river, 7 of diamonds, he checks again. So that when he checks the third time, I think it's mainly going to be like queen 10, king queen, pocket kings, maybe sometimes ace x. So if I'm going to bluff, I need to choose a big size, because I know he's got like a pretty good hand most of the time. If he has an ace, he might call either way, but if he has those other hands, I still need to go big to pressure them. So I bet 18,500, and he doesn't look very happy. He takes about 15 seconds and then he's like, oh, cool. So I'm thinking he's probably got ace x when he has that reaction, like ace x brick, like, oh, I have to hero, but if you value betting, I'm not good. But he had ace king, so like I really didn't expect that. I think that means my bluff is maybe better, but the fact that he took that line with ace king, maybe he just only gets there that way with, I don't know. But I was really surprised to see him not be happy to call ace king there. I think like his hand should probably go for 2 streets of value most of the time in this situation, or I think playing a bit passively is okay, but I think it's pretty mandatory value bet at some point by it's just too good. But yeah, maybe his line is fine sometimes, but it seemed a little bit too passive in my eyes. But you know, he won the most against my nines because I did bluff the river. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that hand. So next week I'm going to be playing the Millionaire Maker, which is huge, $1 million for first for a $1,500 tournament. I'm going to be playing the 2200 mystery bounty event at the Win, where one of the bounties randomly could be 250k. There's also like the flip and go, like 1k, like everyone gets dealt all in and you see who wins. $1,500 six max as well, so yeah, should be fun. Please like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or just write them in the comments and I'll answer them in the next week's video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next week.